Hello and good morning, world. It's good to have a Sunday where we can spend some time and focus on how we're going to beat everyone else that we're competing with out there, because that's what's important. Nope, none of that family, none of that children, none of that friends, none of that social life, none of that. No, it's all about money, and it's all about making sure that we're beating everyone else, and that those are the holistic kind of healthy mindsets we maintain. Everyone out there, just kidding. Shout out to Centurion. Look at him. He's in the chat already. Welcome, Mr. 54 Cent. Good to see you. Mr. Centurion is currently hard charging and taking over Oregon, one farm at a time. And I am proud to be an acquaintance of his. And it's good to see you, Mr. Centurion. Thank you for showing up today. So, guys, my name is Sam Stevenson. If you don't know who I am, I've been immersed in the design side of the construction industry for about the past 5 years or so. And I'm going to be giving you guys my inside information on how I'm actively trying to build the best design firm that has ever and will ever exist. That's the strategy here today. So my background is actually in structural engineering and some framing, siding, hammer nails kind of thing on the side. And I'm here to educate you guys on how I'm going to be leveraging those skills combined with the tools that we all have accessible to us. If we just buy the software, we can use the tools. And I'm going to combine those things together along with all the other things I'm learning along the way and sharing with you guys. And we're going to generate some economic energy with that kind of stuff. That's right. That basically means money. And we're going to take this money and we're going to do stuff with money. And if you know anything about money, which Centurion I know does because he's a fellow Hexican, fellow cryptocurrency enthusiast, then we use that money to make our lives better. That's what we do with it. So that is what we're here for. So by the end of this stream, you guys are going to hopefully understand what are some of the mistakes and lessons I'm learning along the way as I go. What is my strategy to move forward as I adapt it? And what am I actually going to be doing in the next coming week? Because remember, if you don't do anything different, you are not going to make any different changes. You're not going to make any progress. You're not going to go anywhere. So if you got any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to get right into it here. So the first thing I want to talk about is you can't be broke and busy. So if you find yourself with a lot of time on your hands, and Alex Hormozy is someone I talk about frequently on this channel here, and he talks a little bit about how if you have, an 8 to 5, then you have at least another 40 hours you can work in the week because you have 5 to 9. Well, sorry, whatever, 4 to 8. I mean, it just depends on where you want to put the hours. You could have 5 to 9, and then you could have 5 to 9 p.m. again. So a.m. p.m. So you could get another 8 hours of work in. So the biggest thing is if you find yourself with a lot of free time, or you find yourself working inefficiently, or all of those things, then you are not busy. And if you want to go take a yacht trip to Tahiti and you find that you don't have the money to do so, but you do have time, then you are not busy and you are currently broke. So not everybody wants to make money to the level of like doing certain things. Some people are happy to work less and just have less money, or have a simpler lifestyle, or whatever it is. So obviously work to your own capacity. Everybody gets to decide what they want. But I know I'm only working at about 80, I would call it 80% capacity right now. There's always room to improve. And, I'm not a person who can efficiently squeeze out like a full 12 to 16 hours of work in a day. I'm not there, not yet anyways. And so if we are finding ourselves with extra time, the lesson here is that if you want to solve the money problem, then get yourself busy. And a big way to do that is like go find people. This is the next point I want to talk about. Go find people who need problems solved and solve them. And you may think to yourself, well, no, like I get paid $30 an hour at my job to sweep the ceilings at a zoo, but I'm not going to go do this thing for free on my weekend because I'm worth $30 an hour. And it's like, well, no, On your weekend, you're worth $0 an hour because you have no other way to make money. And so the idea is if you take all of the extra time you have that you are not performing a task you're getting paid for, and you go solve problems for people, you're going to end up building huge stacks of goodwill with people. Your network, you're going to network super powerfully. Everyone's going to know that you're a hard worker, and you're going to be able to maximize the potential. And like some of those people may not ever, like you may never work with them directly, but like let's talk about business, for example. So in the beginning, I'm in the beginning stage of trying to start this business. And so I have lots of time. And so I have to find ways to take all this free time that I have. And the first stage that I'm in right now is just getting connected with people, letting people know I exist. And then from there, how do I help solve you? How do I solve a problem for you? And how do I do it for free? That's where I'm at right now. And that is where, like, if you're starting a business and you're not absolutely swamped in work and you can't possibly keep up and you want to be there, then go do that. Now, if you don't want to absolutely swamp yourself in work and like push the growth thing to happen, then don't. But that's what I'm after, and that's what I want to do. So go help as many people professionally as you can, because they're going to know people who need help. For example, I had someone who they didn't end up ordering a model. They didn't need one or didn't want one at the time, but they ended up texting me later and said, "Hey, like, there's a guy I know who needs a design. I'm referring you, by the way. So just be aware if they call, this is their name, yada, yada, yada." So go help people, go make things happen, go do all that great stuff. Quick shout out here to Mr. Wyatt. We also got Mr. Wyatt MG in the chat. Happy Sunday, Mr. Wyatt. Hope the weather is great over there in California. Hope you're not having any hurricanes or anything crazy like that coming through. Once you get some money, get a boat and a hunting ranch. That's the best networking tool I have. Oh my goodness. Those are some powerful tools. Having a boat, especially if it's a big yacht. I bet you could have big parties, Mr. Wyatt. Mr. Wyatt probably. I mean, look at his picture. He's in a suit here. He's looking fine. Yeah, he's probably got a yacht. Excellent. I love it, dude. And a hunting ranch. Dude, that's like both sides. That's both sides of the coin. You get the yacht and you invite the girls out for parties and everyone has a good time. And then you get the hunting ranch and all the guys can go shoot stuff. So it's like you got it all figured out. Wyatt's got it made. I love it, dude. So yeah, help people out. And the other thing that I want to talk about is the idea of it's a lot not easier, but it's a lot simpler of a business to run if you have a few people that pay a lot of money for a really high quality service or product. And it's very difficult to get in that position because you have to be able to provide so much value. And like the only way to know what the value is that people want is to like provide value for everybody. And then you get feedback on like, oh, well, that was useful. That was not useful. And I used to not really understand this when Hormozy would talk about it, but the more I went into it, the more I realized how effective it is. And at this point, I've got connections with people that are like, oh, well, this is somebody that I have worked for, but they didn't value the highest level of service that I could possibly give. And you want to be in that category because that's where all the leverage is. That's where all the money is. And when I say money, I don't mean like you have hours and hours and hours and hours of work to do. I mean, you have the highest leverage, which is money per time. And so, for example, if you're going to sweep floors and you're super good at sweeping floors and you can give someone the best floor sweeping experience they could possibly have in all of the ways that means, then you would rather know people who have really big houses who want their floors to be very, very clean and they want a great experience and they don't really care as much how much it costs because you're able to give them so much more value than what you're actually paying. And like, if you do that, you just can't fail because there's so much goodwill left over even after you've paid that it's like you're going to grow, you're going to get referred. It's all going to be great. And that's a better business to run than sweeping like 40 floors a day at 40 different houses for regular people that will pay you a wage that makes it worth it for you, or not a wage, a dollar amount that makes it worth it for the business, but you're not able to give them the level of service you can because they don't want to pay for it. So like there's a range of products, right? So if you're going to make water bottles, You could make Fiji fancy, big, expensive, high grade water bottles, and you could also make smaller, less quality water bottles and stuff like that. You can make both. The trick though is that when you're starting a business, it is easier to do the first one in terms of like running the business. There's just less operational drag. If I have to drive around and do sweep 40 houses, then I have to drive around and sweep 40 houses versus if I just spend one day sweeping and perfecting the floor in one huge house, and I get paid like a higher amount. Like it's just easier to run that business. Like there's less to do. There's not less to do, but you can push more value into the world. And so that's what I'm working on. The more people that that become aware that I exist, the more people, the larger a range I see. And okay, there's builders that are up here that do this kind of work, and there's builders that are down here that do this kind of work. These are the ones that don't want to pay and are hard to work with, and these are the ones that don't care as much about the dollar, as long as you're not like screwing them, and you're actually able to provide the value in excess of what they're paying you. That's the key. Then, go for that. So I'm sure anybody who's, both Centurion and Wyatt, y'all both are engaged in business. You see these ranges of people, and if you don't think you know enough of the right people, then it becomes like, okay, well, what do I need to do to meet the right people? Whether it's networking or like joining groups or cold calling, outbound, advertising, whatever your method may be. Like if you don't know the right people, you can't do it well enough. And one of the things that I learned recently along this path was, as I'm doing all this outbound, it takes a lot of time out of my day. And so when I start to succeed, and I'll be honest, a lot of the builders I'm succeeding with up front are not the ones that want to pay the big ticket, because like there's just less of them. Like there's less people building $4 million houses than there are people building $300 houses, $300,000 houses. There's just less. And so a majority of the builders that I'm working with are the ones that are on the low ticket side. And like they can still be good people to work with. It's just that I have to it's just a very different process. So uh-oh. I don't know where I was going with that. Train of thought is going, gone. Oh, so as you're doing the outbound, it's taking time out of your day. And if you're picking up builders that are paying you to do work, that's taking time out of your day. And so there's an important lesson that Hormozy talks about, which is that like you have to do at 4 hours a day or whatever the number is, right? You have to do the thing that is the thing that will grow and improve your business every single day. And then you have to run the business every day. Like you have to separate those two out. They're two different things. And I could totally see now how clear that is, because let's say I go and I'm calling, I'm doing all this stuff, and I get all these relationships going with all of these smaller builders that do these smaller projects, and it's less ideal work. I can weigh myself down with all that work, and if I don't do the one thing that gets me like that one builder who's going to be 50 times more valuable to me than all of the other ones combined, if I never meet him and I never did that work to get there, then I'm stuck in all the other work. But if I spend the time, which I'm really trying to do the growth thing every day, and I meet those people, then I can, like, just meeting them and starting that relationship allows me to be like, okay, change in frame of mind. Now I can like actually set boundaries, and I can say no to other people that are going to give me a way lower leverage time, or people that are going to make my life more difficult instead of easier. Like you can play these games. And so I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to keep the growth part going, because the growth thing is just the door opener. You just got to keep opening the doors. So I'm really going to try to stick with that. And that's one of the action steps I got coming up this week, is to do more of that because I really do believe it works. So that's that. So yeah, on the subject of outbound, um, I watched a video from Hormozy talking about how I swear to God he was speaking to me. Obviously he wasn't, but it was so funny that he's heard it so many times that he knows what people do. And so he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna think that like, okay, I got to do 100 cold calls a day, and like you're gonna get through all these calls, and you're gonna be like, oh well, it wasn't working for me. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my business or whatever." And the comment he made was like, "Yeah, what you're probably gonna do is you're probably gonna call each person one time, not leave a voicemail, and then like say it doesn't work." And it's like that's not how outbound works. And so I actually ran across uh, a thing he had on his website because man, this man has like so much valuable information. If you're trying to run and start a business, go to acquisition.com, look through all of the training, all of the videos, just like absorb it all. Read his books. It's all like there's so much in there, and PDFs, like all this stuff. And so he's got these PDFs I found of like his outbound or an example of an outbound process. And what I didn't realize was that I was sort of learning as I was going through error was like, okay, the first time all the calls that got me something, but it didn't get me a bunch. And then I thought to myself, well, I was missing a bunch of people because I didn't leave a voicemail or because I didn't pick up the phone. So, like, what else is there that's part of the outbound machine that I'm not doing and I'm getting less stuff out of this? So, I found this PDF and it's a PDF of his outbound process and started downloading stuff, printing it out, putting it on my wall, all this kind of thing. And I realized how important like text, email, follow up, call again, like he's got an 8-day, like for one lead, you put them through an 8-day process and you do different like text or calls or emails on different days based on like kind of what he recommends. And it sort of makes sense because like if you text, called, and emailed every day, then it's like really annoying. And so this is like he's got a balanced set where it's like people are busy and they may actually be interested, but they're just busy. Like sometimes we all just get that spam email that's like, "Oh, hey, there's this thing." And you're like, "Oh, that's right." Or it's a reminder like I am interested in this thing. I'm just not taking action on it yet. And so if you just like keep pushing it, you're more likely to get something to happen. And if it doesn't happen after the 8 days, then like they're just not interested because they probably saw something you sent them and they probably understand you're not like a spammer at that point. So, or they've unsubscribed or whatever. So then you put them in the not interested bucket. And then 6 months later, because life changes, priorities change, circumstances change, you go through the list again and like see what happens. There's new people, there's different situations, all that stuff. So I was not extracting all the value that I could have, and I was not doing the right outbound system. And I kind of broke it up into different weeks. Like I spent a bunch of weeks just calling, and then I spent 1 week doing the texting and the emailing and the online messaging and all that stuff. And like both of these things have extracted leads and extracted work for me. But I can't imagine if I actually took the time to do this 8-day thing for 100 leads every day. And I'd only have to do this for 18 days total. Let's say I have 1,000 leads, then that's 100 leads a day. And like, okay, on day 2, I'm contacting 100 new people. And I'm also doing the second step of the first 100 people. And so like when you get to day 8, you're dealing with your 800 people in that day in one form or another. So like it's a lot of work. But if I just did this for 18 days, because on the 10th day, I've got 8 days left, right? So it would ramp up and then ramp down. If I did that, I'd probably get better results. Believe it or not, more inputs equals more outputs generally. So I'm thinking about doing that. It's a big time commitment, and there's lots of things I commit my time to in my life. So we shall see. But that is the outbound change. So I highly recommend if you don't know what your acquisition system is, go just do, heck if you don't hard if you think you might learn something about business, just go check out acquisition.com because it's just got so much great stuff. Got a comment from Mr. Wyatt. Time is the only thing that helps. As you get more known for your quality of work, the more high networks people hire and Ooh. The more high networks people hear and hire you. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes. Once you're in, they tell all their friends. Absolutely. Yep. You got to get in for sure. Sounds like Mr. Wyatt's been making his way. Oh, there's the comment north. He's been making his way in. He's been making it happen. We got one and only Jenna Nelson. Hello, Jenna. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're learning something about business today. Okay. Let's see here. Where are we at? All right. So that was pretty much the things I've been thinking about. This last week I met with one of those people that I think is one of the professionals that I would like to be building with for a long time, who's a very high worth person, someone that I could respect and like the mission and the journey they're on. And so you meet those people and you go places. So yeah, we shall see. But this last week we did the Frame It Friday was a little bit different. I decided instead of opening up a plan on the table here, I actually went into the computer and we did some analysis of a beam design. And I said, hey, like if you have a super simple building like this with a super simple load scenario, here's how you would figure out what size beam you need. So I went into that, and that's touching in the engineering field a little bit. I think it's pretty straightforward if you understand general math, or you had like a statics class and you understand like loads and stuff. You'll get it. But if you ever want like other weird ways of analyzing, or like go explain this topic in more detail because I really don't understand tributary area or something like that, then I'm more than happy to. Every Friday, that's what we do it. That's what we do it for. We're here to teach you guys. So we also had the IRL meetup yesterday. It was absolutely fantastic. We had a great time. There was lots of fruit involved with blades and stuff like that. We had I got to cut this quick here because I didn't bring my power cord in. Also, my screen just froze. Let me see if 1 second. Yep, hold on. Camera app is failing. All right. Well, hopefully the sound is. Oh, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Okay. Hopefully it's still working. We're going to see. So we had a great time. Blades stuff. I'm going to try to make a reel out of that so you guys see how much fun we had. I'm thinking of moving these IRLs to possibly one every 6 months, because what I want to do is I want to have a really high level experience. I wanted to make it super valuable. And if I do it too frequently, then one, it costs more money, and two, it's harder for people to come every month and that kind of thing. So maybe every 6 months or something like that. So next one's in the future at some point. Don't know when. But this coming week, we're going to fix this outbound method. I'm going to try to launch a website because that's just part of the professional presentation I need to have. I'm going to look at becoming a certified professional building designer and go pay someone a fee to say that I'm good at what I do, basically. And yeah, we're going to get more models out there. We're going to try to make the world a better place. And thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate your valuable presence. I'll see you guys later.
That's